What is up, guys? Stark here. In today's character spotlight, we are taking a look at Nikola Tesla. So this is a character I've been trying to do for a while, and I just now finally managed to get a friend who had him, so I'm going to go ahead and do the character spotlight for him. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk about all the characters I still need to do, or I still need like people who have them on my friends list. So if you have them, just go ahead and add me so I can use those characters and make videos for them. Moving on here to Tesla himself, I have his artwork on the screen, and honestly, to me, it is some of the worst artwork in the game. I'm very disappointed with it, so I was hoping maybe the God of Thunder or Master of Lightning or whatever you want to call him would have a little bit of a better artwork, but unfortunately this one just doesn't do it for me. But, you know, I'm sure some people out there like it, and that's fair to them. I just don't like it at all. Moving on here to his stats, though, he is an archer and a 5-star, and he will go up to level 90. And at level 90, he has 11,781 attack and 13,825 HP. So overall for his stats, he will rank 9th overall in attack and 16th overall in HP. So he has probably some of the higher stats in the game, and they're balanced too. So he's 9th in attack, 16th in HP. So he's got really good stats. You know, definitely some of the best balance. You know, like the one I did yesterday, he was 3rd overall in attack, but he was 32 in HP. So, you know, there's kind of a fall off there. But this guy is more of a balanced stat user, I guess. And they're really good stats too, top 20 in both stats. You know, that's pretty rare. Even for 5 stars, that's still pretty rare. So he's got some good stats overall. Unfortunately, though, he is an archer, so there are definitely other archers that are, you know, more prominent, like, say, Gilgamesh. You know, if you have Gilgamesh, you're probably not going to be using Tesla too much, if ever. But, you know, not everyone has Gilgamesh. He's pretty hard to get, so it's definitely a good option if you don't have him. Moving on here to his servant skills. His first skill is going to be the Galvanism A skill, which is a self buff that will increase Noble Phantasm gain for 3 turns. So this is a pretty good first skill to have. You know, it'll help with the Noble Phantasm gain, and you can kind of combo that with his 3rd skill and just make your Noble Phantasms faster to get off. And it's a pretty solid Noble Phantasm, but we will talk about that in just a little bit. But overall, it's not a bad skill. Moving on here to his second skill, it's going to be the Natural Intelligence A skill, and this has a 80% chance to increase defense for 3 turns and 80% chance to increase Noble Phantasm strength for 1 turn, and then it will also apply Guts 1 time over the course of 3 turns. So, you know, my pet peeve in this game is the random percent chances, but this one is a pretty high percent chance with an 80% chance for his first 2 effects. So that's not too bad. It does do a 20% defense increase if you do get it off at level 1, goes up to 30% at level 10, and the same thing for the Noble Phantasm strength increase. It's going to be the same percentages, 20% level 1, 30% at level 10. And then for the Guts, he will revive with 1000 HP at level 1 and 3000 HP at level 10. So there is a rank up quest you can do to power this up further, and this will add a new effect into it that will increase attack for 3 turns, and this is not a random percent, this is just a pure skill, and that'll be a 10% increase at level 1 and a 20% increase at level 10. So once you do that and get it all powered up, this is a very good skill. Even if you fail on the first 2 skills, odds are you're definitely going to get one of those 2 effects, and then you're also going to get Guts and the attack boost. So overall, you're definitely getting a lot out of this skill, even if you don't get the percentage chance, which in my opinion I'm fine with. You know, it's not pure random RNG. You have like 2 effects that are RNG, 2 effects that are not, so you're definitely getting something out of it. So it's not just a skill where you can just use it and then just get nothing. Like, I hate those skills. But this isn't one of those, and if you do get everything off, you're going to get a ton of boosts, ton of bonuses, and this skill is generally pretty good to use. Moving on here to his 3rd and final skill is going to be the Pioneer of the Stars EX. This will increase his Noble Phantasm gauge, apply Ignore Invincibility for 3 turns, and it will also grant him critical stars. So again, this is a very good skill, and it will increase his Noble Phantasm gauge by 30% at level 1, and then it will go up to 50% at level 10, which is really nice, and then it will grant you 10 stars regardless of the level. So overall, Tesla has a very good set of skills, even if some of them are a little bit RNG dependent, but overall they are very, very good skills. Moving on here to his class skills, he has 2 of them, the first one being the Magic Resistance C, which will increase debuff resistance by 15%, and the second one is the Independent Action B, which will increase critical strength by 8%. Moving on here to his Ascension and his skill enhancement materials. For his Ascension, you're going to need the Dust, Gears, Pages, and Lanterns. And then for the skill enhancements, you're going to need Pages, Dust, Feathers, and Lanterns. So now for his command cards and his Noble Phantasm, he has 1 Quick, 2 Arts, 2 Buster cards. So you do want to primarily use him on Buster or Arts teams, but his Noble Phantasm is Buster, and it's going to deal heavy damage to all enemies, and it will also deal special damage to Sky or Earth Servants on the Overcharge. And then it has a low chance to inflict stun on all enemies for 1 turn, and it will also decrease his own HP by a little bit. So it's got kind of have a whole bunch of different effects here. But overall, it's a pretty good Noble Phantasm. It does pretty solid damage, and the stun rate's not terrible, but it is kind of on the lower side at 30%. So if you're using it on like a normal wave, you're probably going to hit one of them. But, you know, any stun is better than no stun, so I guess that's one way of looking at it. And you will lose 500 HP when you use your Noble Phantasm. So yeah, you know, it's pretty good. It's good, useful for farming and stuff like that, because you can use his skills to make it, you know, charge faster. But overall, it doesn't do that much damage unless you're going against a Sky or an Earth Servant, and then it'll do, you know, quite a bit more damage. There is an interlude quest that you could do to power it up, and that will just increase the damage, and it will also increase the rate for the stun by 10%. So it helps a little bit, but it's not really going to make that much of a difference, honestly, overall. Moving on here to some of the craft essence that you can use on this character. So first up is his craft essence for level 10 bonds, and this will unlock the Lightning Bolt Arm, which while equipped will increase Noble Phantasm strength of all allies by 20% while on the field. So this is generally your, you know, generic Noble Phantasm strength increase craft essence. So it's not really that bad because it does help increase his damage for his Noble Phantasm. But again, you know, bond craft essences are so hard to come by. You're probably going to focus on other characters before him, so I don't know if you really want to go ahead and use that one. But if you don't want to use it, or you don't have it or anything like that, you can go ahead and use other craft essences that can help increase your Noble Phantasm gauge at the start of the fight, which definitely helps for like farming and things like that. So you could use like Kaleidoscope or the Little Halloween Devil to help get the craft essence, or not the craft essence, to help get your Noble Phantasm gauge charged faster at the start of the fight, so you can spam that Noble Phantasm, or just use it in like speed clearing and things like that. Other than that though, some other options, you can go with say the Black Grail for the Noble Phantasm strength increase. It's always really nice, you know, it helps boost his Noble Phantasm. It doesn't do that much damage, so having Black Grail will definitely make that more beneficial to you. And the 500 HP per turn isn't really that big of a deal. There's so many different ways to counter that and make that not really important or a non-factor. So you don't really even need to look at that. So it definitely, the increase for the Noble Phantasm strength definitely outweighs the negative where you lose the HP. So moving on to the character and review portion. So for his stats, he's got very good stats. Top 20 in both HP and attack, so I am going to award him 5 stars overall in his stats. As for his skills, his Noble Phantasm is a little bit lacking, but it does have some pretty good effects, and his second and third skills are very good, even if the second skill does depend a little bit on RNG. So I'm going to give him 4.5 stars out of 5 in skills. As for his versatility, he's not very versatile. Pretty much, if you're not using him for like beating up for his versatility, he's honestly not very versatile. If you're not using him to beat up sabers, you're probably not going to be using him too often, especially if you have Gilgamesh. I'm not trying to factor that into his star rating because obviously there's better characters, and if you have those characters, you'd rather use them. But I'm trying to look at the character as a standalone character, assuming you don't have any of the other characters. But even though he has really good stats, he doesn't really have too much to boost him, and his main skill to boost him is only an RNG type skill. So I'm going to give him a 3-star overall in versatility. As for his aesthetics, I am only going to give him a 1 star because, as I said before, I hate his artwork and I don't like his character design. It just doesn't work for me. So 1 star overall in his aesthetics. So overall, I'm going to end up giving this character a 4.2 out of 5. I feel like that might be a little bit high, but he does have really good skills and really good stats. So there's not much else I can say about that. He's just a pretty darn good servant overall. If he only had a little bit more as far as versatility goes, he'd probably be up there with some of the top tier servants. But he does lack in a few categories, unfortunately. But still, if you do pull him, he is a pretty solid servant to use, especially if you do not have Gilgamesh. So this is normally where I would end the character spotlight, but as I said in the beginning of the video, there are quite a few characters that I need, and if you have them, I would greatly appreciate it if you add me. I will have my ID in the description below, so you can, add me, and I'm going to put a picture on the screen right now of a list of all the characters that I need. So if you have any of those characters, then just go ahead and add me. I know some of them are 3-star characters, and I do have some of them, but if you have that character maxed, I would rather use your version instead of mine, so I can make better use of the character, so maybe they don't die in like the first room and I have to redo it or something like that. Or I could showcase the Noble Phantasm and the skills better, because you need to have the characters ascended to use all of their skills, and not all of my characters are max ascended. So if you have any of those characters, please add me, and I will use those characters in the videos. And this also helps me make the videos and get them out faster, because if I don't have the characters, it's very difficult for me to make the spotlights, and I don't want to make a spotlight without the video of the character battling in the background, because I've been doing that for every single video so far and I want to keep doing it. I feel like that's a pretty good way of doing it, so I would like to keep doing that. If I have to do something different, I will do something different just to get the videos out, but I'm trying to avoid that. So if you guys have them, please add me and I will use those in the videos. So enough about that. I'm going to leave you guys here with Tesla's Noble Phantasm, and I will see you guys tomorrow.